When is enough enough? When are we going to get fed up, actually fed up, make something happen because of blatant, obvious lies to protect the proceeds and profits of politicians and pedophiles? Those two words can be used synonymously, as we know now sometimes. The prominence of the people on a list that has been not only hidden, but now we're being gaslit to say never existed. When just a month and a half ago, it existed with thousands of video files incriminating incriminating thousands, as well as involving the victims. They said they weren't releasing it because of the victims. Then we have, back in February, Pam Bondi being asked directly about what's going on with this list. And she says it's on her desk. And that's what we're going to do today, guys. We're going to react to what's going on. We're going to hear what Jesus Christ himself has to say about this, by the way. There's a couple passages I'd like to read for you. And when I say read for you, I am going to read straight from the English Standard Version, my preferred version of the Bible. New Testament, we're going to go through Matthew. And then we're going to do some good old-fashioned clip reaction. If you're listening as well, it's going to be okay. You're going to hear audio. But on the video side, I'm going to have my phone up. Because I don't have a keyboard up here to self-produce. So you're just going to get what you get. I'm sorry. The audio will be crisp. But first, let's start before all that. I want to thank you. We just passed 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. We had over 200 downloads last week on Spotify. And to all my people over there on Apple, we have over 175 downloads of the past 2 episodes. I want to thank every single one of you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me yap. From everything to the Federal Reserve, housing, and as today we're hitting on the conspiracy turned reality that is the gaslighting and the passive, dismissive tone that we're going to hear, because one of the clips 2 minutes, 30 seconds. We'll walk through it. But when is enough enough? Right? When is the actual line in the sand been crossed? Where is it? Think with me for a second. How many times do we have to catch the wealthy elites, politicians, billionaires, lawmakers in a lie? For years, politicians have campaigned on things they never made happen, never brought to fruition, got into office based off of those claims. Never brought them to fruition, never held them accountable. How many times have we caught our own politicians misspeaking or miscommunicating, they say, around blatant obvious lies, blatant and obvious missteps? I think of Pete Hegseth in the group chat, the signal chat that was created with war plans, details. We were told not to believe our ears and eyes on what we were seeing there in that amount of mishandling of operational security, top secret level military security. Doesn't matter. Head of the military is allowed to have OPSEC violation, operational security violations. But everybody else, that's going to be the military code of justice. Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ. But I want to thank a couple people, couple comments from our last video I want to bring up. Last week, we talked about the Federal Reserve. We talked about easy money possibly being back with a new Fed chair being put in place May 2026 by a Donald J. Trump named Scott Bessent. M$226 says, thank you, Zachary, for all you do. I've been reverberating some wisdom in my life to better my future from you, and you have pushed me to create a timeline for my financial betterment. Thank you for this video wholeheartedly for all you do. P.S. Where'd you find that SpongeBob shirt? I need a wardrobe refresh. I need a wardrobe refresh too, being very, very honest with you. The SpongeBob shirt was from Target. Target's men's section sometimes hits. Just saying. It's good quality, too. I've washed it a few times. It's got the vibrant colors in it, but mixed with the white. I thought it was going to fade a lot faster. It hasn't. That's my brunch shirt. That's the pool party shirt. Thank you for the love. Galactic Studio HQ says, I'm here for 8K subs. Big shout out, 8K subs. Thank you so much, everybody watching on YouTube. And here to stay. Can't wait to see this channel grow. Anyone who stops by should like, comment, subscribe, push through the algorithm. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you so much for the love. And before hitting on one more, this is Rebecca Sipe 5398 said on the last video, should I sell my house now since it's appreciated and get something smaller till next year, or wait to sell till next year? It's a great question. If you're looking at this from the perspective of the first section of your comment, you say, should I sell my house now since it's appreciated? It strikes me that you're looking to save money, because you said right after that, and get into something smaller next year. If the case is you are looking for, because picture this with me, if you're in a scenario that's expensive and you want to downgrade so it is less expensive, and you're saying, should I wait to maybe capitalize on more equity? I would say maybe not. And here's why. If you're already in a financial scenario, hear me, listen in on this, it's tight month to month. That mortgage is high. It's a lot of square footage to take care of. Home insurance, property taxes, just overall property management. It's a lot. And if it is too much, I would not continue to do that to yourself, maybe run in the red financially, run in the negative, just to maybe weigh down on when your property might be worth more. Because here's my thing. I say hold. If you can afford it, there's zero reason you should sell. If you're not getting divorced, nobody's dying, nobody needs to relocate for their job across the country, don't sell. I don't think home prices go down barring a seismic crashing of the entire economy. We talked about that in the last episode. And Philip's kids, Rebecca, again, I would say sell in the case of you not being able to afford your current situation. But if that's not the case, hold. Hold it. Maybe it's next year. Maybe it's a year, a couple after. It all depends on why you're selling too. I don't have all the information, so it's hard for me to give direct advice. I am late, says Philip's kids 3686. Yeah, Philip's kids. I am late, but I appreciate you doing these breakdowns. I'm a young adult. These help me understand and connect things that happened before. Hear this. I paid attention to the economy. Aren't we all in that boat? Isn't there a moment in time where we look up when we get away from tutorials around our young adult hobbies to breaking news segments on what's happening in the world? Do you think that TikTok helped make that happen? Do you think the TikTokification of algorithms no longer focusing on following, but focusing on engagement and focusing on showing you things you want to see regardless of whether you follow them? Do you think that has put more of what we need to see around the world with our leaders, with the elites that are siphoning the American dream out from the working class little by little, bill by bill, year by year? I think it has. What do you think? Do you think that's pertinent? Comment also what you think is the reason. I appreciate and love all comments. I love the engagement. If you're giving them already, I'm so grateful for you. The comments, I try to reply to all of them. But comment what you think, honestly, whether you're on Spotify, YouTube, is trying to phrase it properly. But the main reason for the inequality today, and I may have shifted the question up a little bit there, but that's what I want answered. What do you think is the main reason for the inequality today? I want to get into deeper levels of the economy myself. And every time I watch a video, by the way, of somebody examining the stock market or somebody that day trades, I feel like I'm watching another language sometimes, dude. I'm telling you, like, let me look into your ears right now. I'm looking in your ears, making good eye contact. Getting started and looking into the economy and looking into how our government structure is set up is incredible. And it's awesome that you've gotten started. Meld in me with 8 or 9 other trusted people, books, podcast shows, short form content, like whatever you can to stay in the know. And on my channel specifically, I'm always going to favor staying positive. We were going to end every episode with a prayer and a bout of gratitude. Grateful for you. I'll tell you what else I'm grateful at the end of the episode. I'm going to read some scripture for us, and then we're going to go over just exactly who Jeffrey Epstein is, who Ghislaine Maxwell is, and why she is a lynchpin to the lies from the clips you're about to watch with me. And I just want to unpack the one question that's seeming to be not answered or completely just gaslit as if it's impossible that it did not happen. The list. Do we have any proof? Do we have any documentation? Do we have any court hearings, civil lawsuits, claims, anybody that's come forward, any connections at the higher level that this Epstein thing wasn't just about Epstein? I'm going to play you this clip, and what our government is now portraying the entirety of the Epstein scenario is that this was just him indulging in his own desires. I'm just going to say it plainly. He's been trafficking children to elite billionaires internationally via his island and that list known as the Black Book, the list. According to our administration, doesn't exist. So I want to walk through, do we have any evidence to say that it may indeed, and that we're actually being lied to? Could our government be lying to us? What do you think? Do you think our government could lie to us? Come on. Why would our government lie? One other item before we get into what Jesus has to say about this. What do we do when we know the line's been crossed? We said earlier, how do we know when the line's been crossed? Where is the line? How do we see the line? What do we do when we know it's crossed? We're going to be in Matthew 23 today. Whether or not you believe in the resurrected Jesus Christ, Lord, I happen to. I'm not going to force that upon you. But one thing I want us to be able to agree upon is the eyewitness account of Matthew, who is, if you're unaware, who was a tax collector. Didn't do much but annotate data financially, and he took that skill of bookkeeping into his writing of Matthew. He writes it very matter of fact. He writes it very quotes. He writes in a lot of callbacks when he is performing something that fulfills prior scripture in the Old Testament or the Torah. He writes in a way that is, and he was on scene the whole time from the beginning. He was one of the first people called after Peter. I think John too, but then it was Matthew. So again, I want to read Matthew 23, which was written by Matthew, an oral account post-death of Christ. And again, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ the resurrected, at the very least we know he historically existed. And here's some of the monologue that he gave in a scenario that I think a lot of people look over in the Bible. And I'd be curious to know if you've heard the story of the 7 woes. The 7 woes. Again, Matthew 23 is when Jesus takes the Pharisees and the Sadducees in his spiritual hands and puts pressure on their necks. Spiritually, theoretically. This is the story of when he approached them in the marketplace, in front of the disciples and crowds. This is important. He didn't take them privately, these Pharisees and scribes, because the leaders of the time, the elites of the time, the royalty that collected the wealth, that lied on the taxes to collect even more, to bring land to land and home to home, to, as Isaiah said, eventually dwell in the lands all alone. It was them. The Pharisees were the religious cult leaders of the time. They kept the rules. They were in the temples. And the Sadducees were the lawmakers. Think of the Pharisees as the law keepers, like the religious police. These were the leaders of the time. You don't disrespect these people. This is the class disparity that we kind of see today, where we have this gigantic group of people that are downtrodden, living in communes. As the Acts church is formed by Paul later on and Peter, we see that they say to sell all their things and bring in it. They were communing because things weren't good. They were communing because there weren't a lot of resources, because there was large class disparity. The wealth gap was huge. The Sadducees and the Pharisees sat on the top side of that. They are the elite of the time. And so Jesus said to the crowds, and this is verse 1. I'm just going to start reading. Matthew said, "Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, 'The scribes and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. So do and observe what they tell you, but not the works that they do. For they preach, but do not practice. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to move a finger.'" Pause. Does that sound like a CEO relationship, or does it not? I'll read it again. "So do and observe what they tell you, but not the works they do, for they preach but do not practice. They tie up heavy burdens, they force a lot of work, hard to bear, and lay them on the people's shoulders, the working people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to move themselves a finger. They do all their deeds to be seen by others, for they make their phylacteries broad and their fringes long." Basically, their words and their sentences. I probably said those words wrong too. "They love the place of honor at feasts and the best seats in the synagogues. They love the greetings that they receive in the marketplace and being called rabbi by others. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you shut down the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. For you neither enter yourselves nor allow those who would enter in go in." Meaning, not only are you not making it, you're making it hard for other people to make it. "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you travel across sea and land to make a single proclamation. You make him twice as much the child of hell as yourselves. Woe to you, blind guides! And you say, if anyone swears by the altar, it is nothing, but if anyone swears by the gift that is on the altar, he is bound by the oath. You blind men." Skipping the verse 25. "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you clean the outside of the cup and the plate, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee." Again, he is saying this loudly. He is proclamating it in front of crowds and right to the Pharisees and the scribes' faces. He is not pulling them aside and saying, "Hey guys, hey, we need to talk about this. You guys aren't really practicing what you're preaching. We need to get back to, maybe we can go talk in your office. I'm sure we could work this out, but it doesn't seem like." No, he was in a crowd proclaiming that y'all are liars, wealth hoarders, robbers, and spiritually empty. He says, but the cup on the outside that you clean, on the inside, you're full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee. You blind Pharisee. Catch the end of this too, because he drops a bar. Jesus drops a bar at the end of this. It's pretty hard. You blind Pharisee. First, clean the inside of the cup and the plate, so that the outside may be clean as well. "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, with outwardly appearing beautiful, but within you're full of dead people's bones and uncleanliness. So you also outwardly appear righteous to others, but within you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you build tombs of the prophets and decorate the monuments of the righteous, saying, if we had lived in the days of our fathers, we would not have taken part with them in the shedding of blood of these prophets. But you witness against yourselves that you are sons of those who murdered the prophets. Saying that in the past, you wealthy elite people, you kept shutting people up that were speaking the truth, even killing them. But yet you worship those same prophets today. That doesn't make too much sense. Your fathers killed those people. Verse 32 is my favorite verse. He says, fill up then the measure of your fathers. You catch that? Hear me. Fill up then the measure of your fathers. Y'all, you catch that, what that means? He says, so go and do as they did. Go and plot the next prophet's death. Go and plan my crucifixion. I've spoken my piece. You serpents, you brood of vipers, how are you to escape being sentenced to hell? I love my Lord. That's Matthew 23, and I think it's a very clear message that's being sent. Let me move over, though, to Luke 15. There's a quick little parable I want to read, and we are going to get into exact details on Epstein, Giselle, and the case, and I'm going to react to these clips, but this is very important to me. If it's not important to you, skip. I completely understand. It's in James. I think I put I'll put my bookmark there. Man. James 5. Now, for all the people that listen to the prosperity gospel and hear these people talking about if you give, you're going to get more. And if you're wealthy, that's a sign that God's blessed you. There's two passages I would point you to. I think the easiest one, a lot of people have heard about, I think is listed in all four, if not three of four gospels. The rich prince that God says, or Jesus says, same thing. Hey, sell all your things and follow me. And he says no. And this is when Jesus goes on to say that it is easier for a camel to enter the eye of a needle, which no, that is not some play on words with a needle that was a door. Like there's some biblical scholars are like, oh, the eye of the needle was referencing this eye of needle doorway that was very short and these two-humped camels. Stop misrepresenting my God, please. That's not what it means. He means what he's saying. He says it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter God's kingdom. But James 5 may be one you haven't heard. The title of this, I'm going to let you guess, because each chapter in the Bible has its own little title. I'm going to let you guess the title, but let me read it for you first. It's about 6 verses. Ready? What's the title, you think? Come now, you rich, weep and howl for your miseries that are coming for you. Your riches have rotted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver have corroded, and their corrosion will be evidence against you and eat your flesh like fire. You have laid up treasure in the last days. Behold, the wages of your laborers who mowed your fields, which kept you back by fraud, are crying out against you. And the cries of your harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord's hosts, his angels. And you have lived on the earth in luxury and self-indulgence, and have fattened your hearts for the day of slaughter. You condemned and murdered. You condemned and murdered the righteous people. He does not resist you. Who do you think that section's titled? It's titled Warning to the Rich. In 2008, 40 minors, young girls, as young as 14, ranging all the way to 16 and 17, were lured in by Ghislaine Maxwell to perform massages at the Palm Springs location where Mr. Epstein lived. The women that would step up in 2008, over 40 women, would have the same story, that they were told that they were going to be serviced as a masseuse and paid for their services privately with Mr. Epstein, and each and every one of them quickly and swiftly led to sexual abuse. Ghislaine Maxwell was the orchestrator. Epstein carried it out. This was in 2008. This court case was handled and sentenced as, found to be, I don't know what the proper legal termination is, as a non-criminal settlement. He didn't go to jail. 40 women stepped up. Underage girls, children, stepped up saying, I was sexually abused by this man. This woman made it happen. Here's why it happened. Here was their scheme they used. You have 40 plus people matching their stories. You intimidated them. I'm sorry, I shouldn't put my own speculation into it. Only 2 of the women actually physically testified in court. I wondered why, and I'm curious what you think as to why the other 38 plus women didn't step up to testify. I wonder. Maybe it's because of the result that Epstein ends up serving 13 months in a work release prison, spending upwards of 12 hours outside of prison every single day and maintaining relationships with people. And that's really where this all gets started, because I want to play these clips for you. We're going to watch them. The first one's really long. It's like 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Stick with me, because what we see here is where I've drawn my line. Okay? Maybe for you, the line's been crossed, and it's been crossed for decades. I hear you. I feel your frustration. Maybe for you, you are either so in deep or so indifferent that you don't really care. So you're not even looking for the line. But I want to tell you is this is where my line has been crossed, personally. All right, my line in the sand, you could argue it's been towed over, little toesy action, dipping my heel in to being across the line. But what I'm about to play for you is not just, in my opinion, incriminating of the gaslighting strategy that they have to deafen the noise around a true, disgusting, elite sex ring that was based around the buying and selling of children for sexual acts, that is being pushed to the side in the pursuit of profits and political prominence. Let's watch this clip. This was July 8th at a cabinet meeting. As I'm recording this, it's 2.5 days ago. I was watching this live in the gym, reading the subtitles, and I got to tell you, I stood and watched the screen for 8 minutes just reading because I was baffled. When the Q&A section started for this cabinet meeting, when all the cabinet members were present, the leaders of their subjects or divisions, Pam Bondi was there, our attorney general. And she was asked a question by a reporter that made me stop and stare. And the answer that followed by both individuals, not just Pam Bondi, I'm going to play for you.
And released yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for an American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the set?
Yeah, sure. If I
Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
Let me step in real quick. If you didn't catch the question, I want to make sure we caught the question. The question from the reporter was about a minute missing from the tape. It was about where the actual footage went, the client list that she had spoken about existing. And also, what's going on with this whole intelligence connection? Apparently, there's this Costa guy. You have professional relationships with him, and that's confirmed. And Mr. Costa was the person who gave the deal. Hear me. Mr. Costa was the guy who was the prosecutor in Florida for the 2008 case against Mr. Epstein that led to his 13-month work release sentence. The 40-plus minor women, young girls, children, not being heard. It was this man. And this same man was quoted, and I quote, "When asked about the prosecution process for Mr. Epstein, I was told," and then he quotes, "this is above my pay grade. He is connected to intelligence," and basically to butt out, to not worry about it. Today, that question's brought up to Mr. Trump, and that's what we have here. So I just want to be very clear, and I say to Mr. Trump because he's the one that begins speaking. This question's actually directed right at Pam Bondi. Trump steps in what is technically called passive disruption or passive misguidance. It's gaslighting. It's gaslighting, and he steps in. Let's listen.
Why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the latest.
Yeah, sure. If
Hey,
I
Pam, can I just interrupt
Sure.
for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
And that's it on Epstein. So let's run back through that real quick. Miss Pam Bondi, who, by the way, when Mr. Acosta was called up to be the Secretary of Labor in the cabinet for Trump's initial term, he actually resigned eventually in 2019 after criticism of how he handled the Epstein case was brought more to the front-leaning light. And guess who was the Attorney General of Florida at that time? Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was asked a very flat question around something that is pertinent, as it was just released that there is no list. So this question is around something that Mr. Costa, it's A. Costa, I can't remember his first name, it's Adam Aaron. No, it's all Costa. I'm going to look it up right now. I want to stop saying this man's name wrong. Acosta. Let's see, Acosta Epstein. Will that do it? I think it's Acosta. Alexander Acosta. He was the person that oversaw that case. He's the one who gave the plea deal to Epstein, the slap on the wrist to Epstein. Now let's move over to Miss Maxwell. Miss Maxwell right now, for me, is the lynchpin in the lie that is clear, obvious, and in our face. That lie is that the Trump administration and other political leaders alike are under blackmail pressure to hide the Epstein list. The pressure comes from abroad. It comes from countries like Israel, who are more than likely the Mossad intelligence connection that was mentioned by Acosta and why he should, quote unquote, back off. This is above your pay grade. The reason why I say Miss Maxwell is our linchpin is because of a couple other video clips that I want to play for you. Because in that clip I just played, there's two things that happen. One, we see Trump immediately step in and say, whoa, we're still talking about Epstein? You're an idiot. My goodness, I cannot imagine a world where you would still want to know about this shit. Come on. Forgive me, Lord. Why are we still talking about this? Are you serious? Are you serious? You still want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein? You whack job. Get out of here. Anybody watching this that thinks they still want to know more about Epstein, talk about this dirtball? Come on. The guy who's on record for saying he was my best friend for over a decade, that I have dozens and dozens of media between video and pictures with him, parties, Mar-a-Lago, all everywhere. Flight logs. No reason whatsoever for us to want to know about Epstein. Let me correct you, Mr. President. I don't give a shit about Epstein. Again, I'm sorry, Lord, for cussing. I don't care. He's gone. We're never going to know because of y'all, prior administrations as well, the FBI. I'm going to play a clip from the FBI Director Kash Patel here in a moment for you. We're being lied to. We're being lied to about a list that supposedly doesn't exist, that would incriminate the politicians and the leaders of today and yesterday. Princes, CEOs. And we're not talking speculation here. I'm going to read you 4 names. It's not speculation. The linchpin is Miss Maxwell, who's currently serving, as of June 2022, 20 years in federal prison. You might ask, well, what is she serving 20 years in prison for if she was the setup woman and right-hand woman of Mr. Epstein? If there is no list, if it was just him and child pornography, why would he off himself if he's just going to get a slap on the wrist? Why was he even in solitary confinement if it was something so disgusting, but unfortunately common? Why on earth would Miss Maxwell be serving 20 years in federal prison and be indicted on 5 out of 6 charges brought against her if this was not a coordinated form of blackmail? Call it entanglement. Shout out Jada Pinkett Smith. With elite billionaires and powerful leaders from not only our country but abroad, that this was an organized ring dedicated to services from underaged children. Met privately in the middle of the ocean at Little St. James Island for discretion. And again, why is she in prison? I can tell you. She was founded on 5 of 6 charges. The 5 she was founded guilty on: conspiracy to entice minors to travel for illegal sex acts. Okay, that sounds like a coordinated child sex ring. All right, there is no list though. Conspiracy to transport minors for illegal sex acts with others, I presume. Yeah, so that looks like an organized child sex ring. Charge number 3, transportation of a minor with intent to engage in a sexual act. Sounds like an organized child sex trafficking ring. And to top it all off, sex trafficking conspiracy. And lastly, sex trafficking of a minor. That sounds like an organized child sex ring. It's as uncomfortable for me to continue to talk about it as it is for you to hear it right now. But this man abused children for the likes of the elite. Billionaires are what are being chosen right now by us pushing Epstein away. And if we do what Trump is asking, to just stop talking about it, to not bring him up, to belittle those that even have questions, that we are picking billionaires over babies. We're ignoring child predators for political identity, and it's sick. Ghislaine Maxwell was founded on December 21st and eventually on June 22nd, sentenced to 20 years in prison for 5 out of 6 federal charges in related to Epstein's trafficking operation. Miss Virginia Jeffrey and my writing is terrible, guys. Maria Farmer, it's that or Menina. I think it's Maria. If it's between Menina and Marina or Maria, I think it's Maria. I'm going to stick my neck out. And a total of 23 other women would come forward to state that Miss Maxwell set them up to not only just meet at some rinky-dink resort hotel in Florida, like Epstein was charged for in 2008. No. That's not what she was founded for. She was founded for a organized child sex ring. Who was helping in all of this? Who was going to this quote-unquote island? Who was ordering these children for intent to engage in a sexual act? If there's no list, if there's no black book, we have names. I'm going to read them for you, but first I want you to hear what Miss Pam Bondi said about this list February to Fox News.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive.
You want me to play that one back real quick? This was mentioned in the first clip I played for you by the questioner. I didn't catch his name. I should have called his name. I should shout him out. Brave question. We already brought this up. This was also brought up to the White House press secretary. And they had similar answers. That, when I was asked that, I was referencing not only Epstein's full criminal file, I was also referencing JFK's file and MLK's file. I had a lot going on. So let's listen to the question once again to see if there's room for debate as to whether or not an answer detailing out all of the files and the entirety of the Epstein file is what the questioner was looking for an answer on. Let's listen. Let's listen very closely to the question to see if there's room for debate. Or is Pam Bondi simply answering the question, black and white, simple question, with an answer that they are now going back on? Let's listen once again.
The list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
I'm reviewing that. That's the last word she says there. Yeah, I don't see a lot of room, to be honest with you. And if you're going to come out and say, as the White House press secretary said, as Pam Bondi, the attorney general, has said, that you were not really truly referencing in your answer the documents in question. So what you're telling me is that anytime I hear you speak in a public forum, that I should keep a grain of salt that you don't know what you're talking about, or that you're indulging or misspeaking or not directly answering the question. That's what I should expect. You're telling me that the attorney general, our country's attorney general, is able to get on live TV and speak nonsense. I don't believe that, to be honest with you. I think Pam Bondi's a rather smart woman. I believe it takes quite a lot of intellect to go down the career path that she's gone down, to be where she's at. I don't think she's a stupid person at all. But I think in answering the question around why is there a minute missing from a clip from some quirky, weird, old jailhouse video setup, and listening to her answer why we haven't talked about this whole intelligence connection and why she hasn't even, quote unquote, heard about it. This is her first time hearing about it. I've never heard about this. What are you talking about? What? What are you talking about? And to be flat out asked just about her own quote, you said the list was in front of you on your desk. Truckloads of documents, tens of thousands of videos with Epstein, with other women, children. You're saying all of that was just Epstein? Tens of thousands of videos? And none of it's blackmail? None of it's world leaders? None of it's CEOs? None of it's hedge fund managers? Wow, that's weird. That's odd. Because Miss Maxwell's currently serving a sentence for having serviced those types of people by name. Glenn Dublin, billionaire hedge fund manager. In the case of Ghislaine Maxwell, December 21st, found that Maxwell had directed her to have sex with Dublin, her being Miss Virginia Jeffrey. Seems pretty clean cut that Virginia Jeffrey says this billionaire paid to have sex with me as a minor. Miss Maxwell facilitated it. I don't know about you, but that sounds like an organized child sex ring. Prince Andrew. Not a name that has been able to shy away from Epstein, because the Duke of York actually had public relations with him. There was pictures of them meeting post-2008, after he's already been incriminated. At least meet in private, stupid. Royal dummy. He was accused in 2020 of sexual abuse via Epstein and Maxwell. Oh, I'm sorry. Sexual abuse that was facilitated by Mr. Epstein and Miss Maxwell by Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. And that was as well Virginia Jeffrey. And it's weird. The Duke of York settled that case outside of court for millions. That's weird. I don't normally see innocent people paying people millions of dollars to shut up. Just me. Lex Wexner, he's a good honorable mention. He was a financial advisor for Lex Wexner, Mr. Epstein was, for 20 years. 20 years, financial advisor from 1987 to 2007. Lex Wexner is the CEO and founder of Victoria's Secret. I'm sure that could have nothing to do with an organized child sex ring. And my goodness, if you needed obvious, clear, just black and white evidence that this was an organized ring of individuals, that there was a client list, that there was a group of people of high echelon power and money in this world that were paying for discreet sex with minors in an organized fashion, maybe like an organized child sex ring. If you need proof that Mr. Epstein and Miss Maxwell were facilitating this, let's look no further than Jess Staley. Who's Jess Staley? Former CEO at Barclay and executives. Barclay Investments. He became an investment manager for Mr. Epstein. In fact, prior to being the CEO of Barclay, he was an executive at JP Morgan. Now follow me here. Mr. Staley worked for JP Morgan as an executive. And from 1979 to 2013, that's 5 years after the 2008 case had come out, Jess was his manager, his financial manager. He managed the money that Mr. Epstein was facilitating in and out. This billionaire that has no record of when he became a billionaire. We don't really have a source of how he got his billions. Millions, if not billions, was moving through the hands of JP Morgan, and JP Morgan claimed they had no clue. Yet they'll audit you if you fudge your income by $2,000 as an individual contractor in America. The IRS will come right after you. They're like, no, wrong. You forgot to do this. We'll put you in jail if you don't do this right. But millions can move through the hands of one of the largest money movers on the planet. And they were none the wiser. Jess also was found to have had over 1,200 emails with Mr. Epstein between 2008 and 2012. He also visited the island in 2009. Old little St. James Island. Confirmed. Mr. Staley. That's weird. All of this kind of sounds like it's organized. But is it necessarily a sex ring for children? Well, in some of the emails, there was found to be code words, such as Snow White, Beauty and the Beast, and others that were cryptic, the document said. These were found in a class action lawsuit in Los Angeles that states that Barclays, while under Mr. Staley's CEO leadership, misled their investors about the extent of their relationship, particularly after the 2019 arrest. After. Not only was this communication going on, did he visit the island, he was still talking to his boy afterwards. But Mr. Epstein was only in prison for child pornography. It had nothing to do with an organized child sex ring. You stupid idiot for continuing to bring this old news up. Get over yourself. Come on. Why are we still bringing this up? Mr. Staley, in 2023, also in the UK, is currently barred from holding any financial leadership positions in the United Kingdom. You know why? Because of the emails. He was fined not just a little bit for those emails, 1.1 million pounds. And this lawsuit goes on still, and the class action lawsuit in LA still goes on to today, by the way. U.S. Supreme Court just had that move forward, the complainants of Barclays and him. LA one still going on. The UK one, that was settled in 2023. 1.1 million pounds. Fined. Can't hold any leadership here. Wonder why they did that overseas in a different country, but here in America, he was still able to roam free. And not to mention, he was sued by an entire island. You imagine being sued by an island? He was sued by the U.S. Virgin Islands. And there was a $75 million settlement outside of court. Wow, another innocent person paying money to get people to shut up for enabling Epstein's trafficking operations. That's where Little St. James Island is, by the way, the Virgin Islands. And they said, hey, you enabled this to happen financially. We're suing you. And instead of allowing them to get to a verdict, a settlement was had for $75 million. These are the people that were connected to Miss Maxwell and her imprisonment for 20 years on the conspiracy to entice and transport minors to travel for illegal sex acts, transportation of a minor with intent to engage in a sexual act, sex trafficking conspiracy, and sex trafficking of a minor. When is the line crossed? There was a list. I'm sure the FBI checked it twice. You know what? I don't give a damn about Epstein. He's gone. I care about justice for every single last one of the victims of what he and Miss Maxwell created. Of the elites that secretly, behind the closed doors of whether online communication or island location, abused minors, trafficked children, covertly under the guise of this was just Epstein's little thing. It was just all him. Disgusting. What a creep. What a creep. Creepy Epstein. That's what I call him. I call him creepy because he is. No, you don't. You were his friend. Often meeting with him. Often involved in what was going on. We can't look past the obvious, clear facts. Guys, if he wasn't on the list, let's put ourselves in his shoes. Let's walk in the shoes of Mr. Trump for a second. If you were accused of not only being the friend, but possibly being a part of the financiers, financing, participation, leadership of an organized child sex ring from an implicated friend of yours who happened to just off himself, and he did so because he just had some videos of kids? No, I don't believe it for a second. Because let's put ourselves again in Mr. President's shoes. If you were friends with somebody like this, seemingly, and you weren't. I don't know why people are saying this. You weren't. People are saying you were on a flight to a sex ring island, but you weren't. You never went. You never got on the plane. You weren't tight with Maxwell. You weren't tight with Epstein. Any relationship you had with them was prior to knowing about anything. You had no clue. You're not on the logs. You're not in any of the bank statements or however they monitored their logs of who was paying what for what kid. You're not a part of any of that. If you had that hanging over your head, put yourself in his shoes, guys. Listen to me. Put yourself in his shoes real quick and tell me what you would do the moment you had full executive power. Tell me what one of the first things that you would do when you started drawing up all of those executive orders for this and for that and for deportation and for economic shift up and for Department of Justice defunding and state parks and all of these other items. Can you even imagine a world where you prioritized clearing your name? Because hear me, it seems that Pam Bondi and the current director of the FBI both campaigned on your behalf, by the way, that you would be the one to drop the list, to reveal the darkness, to unweave ourselves from the deep state, this web of corruption that has been built through political just malfunction for decades. And you're going to be the person who does it. Many people saw through the guys for a while. Many people didn't believe it when you said it. But now we have a clear line that has been crossed because we had a list. Now we don't have a list. The FBI had it. Now they don't have it. He may have killed himself. Now there's no way he offed him, or he may have been killed, but no, he offed himself. By the way, here's this footage. There's time missing. The jail cell we're showing you isn't even his jail cell. It's just the door to a stairwell. We have no idea what's going on or behind the stairwell. Multiple people enter and exit, even though you said they don't, and there's a minute missing on the end, and you say it's because of some weird old school dysfunction, even though when it comes back, the focus is different. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. They're telling us to ignore what we see and what we hear. They're telling us to ignore evidence. They're telling us we're stupid and dumb and should feel silly for even considering the thought of asking a question around this man. And if I were in the president's shoes, of which I want to put on record, I'd never want to be in. I don't envy his position or any president that came before, especially if there really is foreign pressure from other countries that are keeping your hands to the wheel of making the moves that they want to make and not necessarily what you want to make. I.e., why did this all drop just days before Benjamin Netanyahu, prime minister of Israel, on and off for give or take 3 decades? Murderous psychopath genocide leader coming to Washington, D.C., not just for a dinner, but to give you a nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize. Whew. Wow. Talk about a room full of peacemakers. Netanyahu and Trump, man, not a aggressive, militaristic, murderous bone in either one of their bodies. On the outside, you look like white, shiny tombs, but inside are just dead bones. Remember what Jesus said, 7 woes. I want to play a clip from you now. We're going to start wrapping this up. I'm about done. You may be able to look at the timestamp right now and gauge whether or not that's honest. I'm doing my best to be honest. I just happened to yap. I want to play a video from Mr. Kash Patel. Kash Patel, to be honest with you, I was really hyped for. I was really pumped. I wasn't pumped necessarily for the person in charge. I wasn't necessarily pumped for the Vice. I wasn't necessarily pumped for RFK. I was pumped for Kash. K-A-S-H, spell it right. Mr. Patel, short king, stepping into the chair of the FBI. Said he wanted to turn the Hoover Building into a museum. Said it's a den of corruption. Said he's going to get to the bottom of MLK, JFK, KKK, you're okay. He's going to find every K. He's going to throw it out there. He's going to go all JFK. He's going to go all in on MLK. And he said specifically, within 48 hours, he was going to bring the list up. He was going to drop it. Within 48 hours of becoming the head of the FBI, he will release publicly the Epstein list. Let me play this clip from Mr. Kash Patel in his pre-campaign podcast interviews.
I'm not saying it's not there. Who are you going to get that?
For instance, who is currently holding, this is way off the topic, but who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book.
FBI.
But who? That is, there's...
that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts. That's how they play the game.
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
Oh, I saw you
give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
Simple, because of who's on that list. Let me play you one last clip. This is from the White House press secretary. Let me get this pulled up. So, what happened to the Epstein client list? Asked Fox News' Peter Ducey, where Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, was asked about the Epstein files and the lack of the release of the client list after Pam Bondi said she had it. This is in reference to the video clip I played for you that was back in February, where she was asked about the list. And now this is the official narrative that she just misspoke.
To the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk.
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
We did.
Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to
Notice the quick misdirection to another topic.
the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this Attorney General and the FBI Director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong. They promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
That is straight out of the filibustering White House press secretary handbook. Let me dismiss what you're asking when asked about something that you clearly have to lie about or just kind of push off for now, gaslight for a bit. You're going to dismiss the question asker and what they're asking with something that ultimately you cannot prove that she's wrong about, but when you, again, hear and see evidence, you're being told to ignore it, then I'm going to switch the topic to something within that niche, criminal investigation and prosecution, that maybe we're doing well on, to bring back a good feeling about it. And then at the very end, I'm going to say, we'll get back to you with more information on that. I'll look into that for you. We'll get back to you. I promise. Right out of the handbook. We have Mr. Patel straight up saying the FBI has it, and when I'm in charge, I'm dropping it. He doesn't. What are these Republicans doing? You tell us. Where's the list? The line's been crossed, guys. We have clear evidence that multiple, probably hundreds of wealthy elite individuals, CEOs, political figures, pundits in the space, executive branch leaders, presidents. Guys, do you know why they didn't drop the list? This list that Pam Bondi organized, this phase 1 release with all these influencers? Did you see that? Did you see that? This was back in the winter when there was these binders, all these little social media influencers that no one really knew. No one really knew who these political pundits were that were quote unquote online influencers that kind of came out of nowhere. And they love themselves some Israel. The group of people posting pictures with this binder says phase 1 Epstein release, even videos of them saying, if you thought we weren't going to get the list from Trump, here it is. Woo! You guys will get it here soon too. Silence. Radio, 0 dark 30, silence. Not unless asked about it, which it was very seldomly asked until we get months down the road with no further action. Where's phase 2? When's phase 3? What's phase 4? How many phases are there? To full disclosure. And the answer is we won't. The answer to when we will get a fully redacted, honest, all the names on it list of who Epstein serviced in his organized child sex ring is we won't. And I ask you, when has the line been crossed? When do we stop just saying, oh, politicians just lie? That's been going on for decades. When are you going to get fed up with that? How weak of you, by the way. And I hope I'm not talking to you. I hope that spurs along a thought of someone in your life, because it's very common for people to have this thought. I don't think that's you. I don't think that's you. I don't think as I'm looking in your ears, I'm looking at, yeah, it's not you. But maybe it is. We can't be weak and just say, oh, you know, they always lie, so they're going to keep lying. Whatever. It's just politics. No! If you worked at a job and you knew your manager lied to get into the position and it consistently lies to you on a day-to-day basis, you would not want to work there. You would not want to be a part of it. You would not feel loyal or patriotic to the company itself. You would see that this person is doing things at the ground level that are not beneficial to the overall company. Insert the word company for country, and now it's leader, it's CEO, the president is making you feel stupid for even considering the fact that we might still be curious of how we can bring justice to the hundreds, if not thousands of victims that we're not even going to get into, by the way, the Diddy innocence. I can't imagine the women that got on stand and testified against this man, how they feel knowing he might walk immediately. I can't imagine. And it speaks to why women don't speak up, because they get shut up. They get told to stop talking about it. Why are we still talking about this? Didn't you see what we did in Texas? What's going on? There's so much devastation, so much success, by the way. We've done so good. Much success. Also, this is a complete off-topic point, and if you're listening, I'm sorry, but this motion right here with your hands, when I do this, who do you think about? Yeah, this is a very subconscious piece of body language for being defensive. for wanting to keep you away, create space, create distraction. I don't know if him talking with this weird cadence or doubling down, I love to double down, on everything he says has anything to do with that either, but just saying. We have clear and honest evidence with our eyes and ears that something was afoot, something had been afoot. We prosecuted somebody and sentenced them to confirm something was afoot. We have documentation and court hearings and court results that show we might have slapped the wrist of a man who wasn't just domestically creating some little self-pleasure center for himself. Based off that alone and the 40 plus women that stepped up, it should have stopped there. It could have stopped there, but it was above his pay grade. And it's above Pam Bondi's too. Which, if you listen back to that clip, a lot of stuttering, a lot of ums, a lot of body language don't lie. It didn't look good. It looks like they're hiding from the truth. The truth that they were hoping everyone would just get over. Stop asking about. Stop thinking about. There is no list. There is no Epstein mass worldwide conspiracy-filled elite sex factory that was created by Miss Maxwell and Epstein. You're crazy. You're crazy. And the fact that you're even thinking about it, it shows just how despicable and thoughtless you are. There's so much else going on. How dare you? How dare you? I want to end this episode with gratitude. Grateful for you. Grateful for the listener. Grateful for anybody who hears what's happening and questions it. Can I ask you a question? When's the last time you heard a topic of conversation come up on a public level, whether it was, Fox News, CNN, TikTok, Instagram, a book? Ain't no one reading books. I need to read more. I do need to read more books. I love reading, though, when I do it. You guys got those things in your life? You love doing it when you're doing it, but then you don't actually do it? Like for some, it might be working out. Like, you feel good when you're done, but you never get up and do it. It feels good to wake up early, but you never do it, type stuff. That's me in reading. Woe to those that are saying one thing, doing another, hiding their greed, hiding their sexual perversion, hiding all of the treasures they're storing up on earth just to have them wither and mold away in the times that are coming, the end times. Believe it or not, he's hitting the nail on the head even back then, that the wealth gap is one of the roots of evil, that the love of money is the root of all evil. And what I want to end on is a little bit of gratitude that comes from the heart of Luke. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for all the people that have subscribed. This is incredible. I love doing this, by the way. I'm going to be doing 2 episodes a week. 2 episodes a week. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, I love you so much. Thanks for letting me look into your ears. And if you're watching on YouTube, we need to get like a screen share set up so I don't have to just show you my phone. Let me read for you. Oh, this is John. I have gone too far. Matthew, Mark. No. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There we go. Luke. I think it's Luke 15. I had it marked. There we go. Yeah, it's Luke 16. It says in Luke 16:13. No servant can serve 2 masters, for either he. Let's start over. I want to read this right. Luke 16:13 says, no servant can serve 2 masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. You cannot serve God and money. And whether it's the God of Israel, which has nothing to do, by the way, with the Benjamin Netanyahu-led state of Israel, nothing to do with it. It is a clever branding trick that was conducted in the 40s to make you feel like you have to support that country, when in reality there's actually no evidence in the Bible that that is true. If you believe in the Bible, you know that the new Israel was the coming and sacrifice and the resurrection of Christ. He's the new Israel. You are the church. The people of Christ are Israel. Okay? You, the Christ-saved believer, are Israel. It's not the state. It's not the location. It's not the current happenings of the genocide going on. You don't have to support that to be a Bible-believing Christian, just to be clear. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this beautiful day. I want to end us in prayer. I'm grateful for the technology we have to be able to communicate. I'm grateful for all the comments. We'll read the ones from this episode's next episode so that we can get a little bit more in depth with any questions or takes. I want to hear your takes. And listen, let's just lead out with committing to the fact that we know evil walks in this world. And if there is an ultimate good that is out there constructing a path for that righteousness to actually come to fruition, for justice to come to the forefront, I believe it's going to be through not somebody that we elect, but a king that's already come and done his business, and he's coming back. Let's pray. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, I thank you so much for the world that we live in. Thank you so much for creating it, allowing us to dwell within it, and giving us the truth of the matter of what's happening on it. I pray for vision. I pray for discretion. I pray for integrity as we walk through these evil times. Sexual perversion, lies, disgracing your name becoming commonplace. I pray that we have discretion in those times where it seems easy to ignore you. I pray for insight as we bring your word to more people, as I plan to do more through this show. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for this communication that we're able to have. And I pray for the person listening to this, that they will take care of themselves, that they will love themselves, that they will take care of their body, take care of their brain, take care of their spirit, take care of their relationships, take care of who they are because they matter. You matter. You created them in your image. I thank you for every single last person that's hearing the sound of my voice right now, and I pray that you may touch them with the peace that surpasses all understanding. And I thank you so much, Lord. In your name we pray, the matchless, merciless name of our Master Jesus Christ. Amen. Keep your head high. Take care of yourself. And I'll see you on the next episode. This has been episode 8 of The Zach Foust Show.